Good morning to everybody. I wanted to first of all thank Sally and Warren Cohen for sponsoring the Dvar Torah. It's Le'ilu Nishmat Sally's father, Moshe ben Michael HaKohen, Zichrono Livracha, Mori Berenblatt. We being sponsored by Mishpochos Kohanim, Sally and Warren Bat Kohen, and also Warren Kohen. And Be'ezat Hashem Yiratzon that Mori Moshe ben Michael HaKohen should have an Aliyah Began Eden. We read this week's Parsha about a certain miracle, and it's so significant that we've got a whole Shabbat dedicated to it. It's called Shabbat Gado. And what's the background to all this that happened? That the Torah tells us that 4 days before going out of Egypt, on the 10th day, the Jewish people had to take a lamb, which was a deity of the Egyptians, as we all know, and had to take it, tie it to their bed on that Shabbat, and wait for Erev Pesach, and then on Erev Pesach to shech the lamb. There's all sorts of laws on how to do it. In other words, how to eat it. It had to be roasted, etc. It wasn't allowed to be boiled. It had to be eaten by midnight. And because this is what the Jewish people did, it's to commemorate this, we call the Shabbat. It happened to be a Shabbat beforehand. We call this Shabbat Gado, the Great Shabbat. So many people have asked, so what makes it so great? What is so great about this Shabbat, that it's over and above all the miracles that we commemorate on the night of the Seder and that we speak about on the night of Seder? We have to have a special Shabbat Gado, which tells about how the Jewish people took the Paschal lamb. It wasn't yet a Korban, and to bring it home and to wait over there till 5 days later, to shech the Korban Pesach. So the Tur, when he brings this midrash, and we'll just ask one more question. The midrash over here says, just let me read. It says over there that it's called Shabbat Gado because of this great miracle that the Jewish people took the lamb on the 10th of Nisan, and the Egyptians asked them, so what are you doing? They said, we're going to go now, and we in a couple of days' time, we're going to shech this. And the Egyptians were so appalled, but they ground their teeth, and they just couldn't even answer them. The language of the Midrash is Velo Hayu Rasha'in, with an Aleph, Reishin Aleph Yud. Velo Hayu Rasha'in. They had no power, Lomar Lahem Davar, to say anything. And because of this, because of the silence of the Egyptians, that's what we call it Shabbat Gado. So what does it mean? They had no capacity, they had no authority, they didn't have the ability to say anything. Well, what could they have said? There's a very interesting Perush, and we'll tie everything together, of the Gaon Mi Chechnikov, who says as follows. We read in the Parasha only a few psukim, couple of psukim before this whole incident, that Paro sort of said he'd already sort of come to terms from the fact that he has to let the Jewish people go legally for some time. So he says to Moshe Rabbeinu, tell me who okay, I'll let you go. Who exactly is going to go to, why do you have to go at all and bring a Korban Pesach to Hashem in the desert? Why can't you do it here? So Moshe says to him, what do you mean, how can we do it over here? Can you imagine, Moshe says to Paro, that we will take a sheep, which is a deity of yours, Paro. It's a deity of a sacred god of the Egyptians, and in front of everyone, while we're in Egypt, we would shecht it, well, we'd be killed. It's so dangerous to do such a thing. And lo and behold, here, a couple of days later, a week or so later, that's exactly what is happening. And the Jewish and the Egyptians could have said, why do you want to go? Look, you said to us before that you're so terrified of shechting the sheep in Mitzrayim, and you use that as an excuse that you have to go to the desert and not do it in front of our eyes. And here, behold, that's exactly what you say. What you're saying you're going to do, that you're going to shecht you've taken the sheep, you've tied it to your bed, and you're about to do it. So you people are liars. And somehow they were paralyzed. The Egyptians were paralyzed and they just couldn't do it. That's the nace. But wait a minute. But now the problem is we want to get to one step further. But why exactly couldn't the Egyptians? They could have said something, but they somehow, as we said, we were paralyzed. They were dumbfounded. The words got stuck in their throats and they couldn't express it. But why couldn't they express it? I'd like to explain it on the basis of things that we all know. We all know about it, even those of us who we're so close to the event, even though a lot of us are still young and we didn't live through those events, but our parents and grandparents did. We all know that we celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut. We say hello, according to some people. Why exactly do we celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut? I mean, we're not. What I'm asking is that whenever we celebrate a holiday, there has to be something special that happened on that holiday. And usually, when that special thing happened, it has to be at the completion of a certain miracle. So, for example, when do we celebrate Chanukah? When the Jewish people came to the Beit HaMikdash. When do we celebrate Yetziat Mitzrayim? When we came out of Mitzrayim. And on the seventh day of Pesach, when there was Kriyat Yam Suf. When we declared when the Jewish people declared 1948, the independent state, I mean, that wasn't a completion of a miracle. That was just the beginning of a war in which most of the casualties that have befallen the Jewish people and the armed forces happened in that couple of months of fighting as a result of the Declaration of Independence. So the question is, how come we are citing, I'm speaking now from a religious point of view, the Hallel on the day of the calling of the independence, and not, let's say, at the time of the truce and ceasefire, which was called months later? That's the question. Rav Tzvi Yehuda, famously always Rav Kook's son, Rav Tzvi Yehuda, he always used to say as follows. He says, you know what, while we say what makes the Yom Ha'atzmaut, the way we celebrate it, special, because the leaders of the Yishuv had the courage, those people who voted for. There were some people who said no. But that the first Prime Minister of Israel, that he had the courage, despite the fact that both even friends of the Jewish people told him not to declare the independence of the state, because the Jewish people, chas v'chalila, would just be overrun by the Arab armies. But he had the courage to announce that the Jewish state had been founded. And that's what we're celebrating. We're celebrating the shift from the time that the Jewish people were in the Galut to now when the Jewish people, which typify that as much heroism as there was in the Galut, but as the Torah in Parshat Bechukotai says, what typified the Galut was a certain anxiety and terror, a certain weakness of the heart, to use the expression in Parshat Bechukotai. And it says, "V'natati lachem reiv ragaz." It says that when we're in the Galut, a leaf will fall and people will run away as if they are pursued by an army. So that softness of heart was replaced now in one instance by the first Prime Minister saying things have changed, and he had the courage and to go and define all odds and said, yes, we're going to fight, and we are now declared a state. And that's what happened. That's why we celebrate Shabbat Gado. You know why the Egyptians couldn't say anything? because they saw in this one moment a total transformation of the Jewish people. The people who beforehand were so absolutely terrified of their Egyptian taskmasters, now they had the courage to look at them in the eye and say, you know what we're going to do? Your symbol of greatness, your God, nothing less than that, we are going to now take it into our homes, we're dragging it to the street, and now, you know what, we're going to, in 4 days' time, we're going to shecht it. And when the Egyptians heard the Jewish people speaking to them like that, they had, it says, Lo Rashaim lo Malaim Davar. They had no capacity to say anything. They were so dumbfounded in the change of heart and the way that the Jewish expressed themselves, right? They realized now that there was a total change and that their demise of the Egyptians is now close at hand. And that was the miracle that we celebrate at the time to make a special celebration of this great courage of the Jewish people, and hence it's called Shabbat Gado. That you should all have Shabbat Shalom. Kol Tov.